So welcome everybody to the Empower People course, and I'm not going to use my organic chemistry joke, although it's in my head. It'll take time for it to disappear, but we're here for the role of purpose. I know, shocking, we're talking about purpose again in organizations. Your instructors or advisors today are myself and Ben DeBord. If you don't know who I am, I'm Tiffany Joy Greene, sometimes known as Manic Maple and other times known as the Princess of Purpose. Before we get started, we're going to say the Empower People oaths. So if you could repeat after me. I, Tiffany Joy Greene, do solemnly swear to accept the lifelong obligation to hone my superhero powers and apply those superhero powers to the good of the people I serve. I will promote and add to the ongoing success of Empower People, its members, and the people, organizations, and communities it serves. I will help prepare the next generation of superheroes. I am driven to be a positive change agent for those I serve and to interact with. Today, as we talk about purpose in organizations, we're going to quickly highlight again what is purpose, just as a nice refresher. And for those who might be tuning into the course for their first time, it's important to hear. Why does purpose matter? The impact of purpose on organizational structure, purpose-driven strategy, the role of leadership in defining purpose. We're going to talk about a case study where purpose is in action. And then we're going to talk about measuring purpose in an organization. So, but before we do that, just so everybody knows, who the heck are we and why the heck are we talking? Well, I am Tiffany Joy Greene. I am not in the middle of an existential crisis, so I will tell you exactly who I am. I am the founder of Empower People, and Empower People is an organization that provides education, connection, and support to mission and purpose-driven leaders to drive positive impact. And I'm going to throw in an extra word, ergo, empower people. Yes, I was a philosophy major, 2 references to philosophy in that statement, existential crisis and ergo. I've written some books, just a few, brand strategy, guidebook, workbook, the foundations of business consulting, Lead South, the foundation of empowering leadership, just to name a few, writing a book on purpose. I know, shock. And I have a lot of experience working with from corporations to small businesses of all kinds, and that includes nonprofits on starting up, expanding, and saving. Some people call me the just do it type, sassy, moxie, you label it because I just get it done. Let's just get real. That's my purpose, because I do want to drive positive impact and empower people. And the only way you can do it is actually to take action. So now I'll give Ben an opportunity to speak a little bit about himself.
Good morning, everyone. Great to see you. As I was listening to Tiffany, I realized I need to spice up some nicknames. My nickname game is not up to par. I will say one of my nicknames in a coaching community of mine is Big Daddy Ben DeBord, which is very appropriate because my son Van is homesick today with hand, foot, and mouth. So I'll be a little bit split on my attention if you see me jump off. Here he is right here. You want to say hi, Van? And I'm an executive coach and training facilitator, and I'm here to support purpose in all shapes and sizes. So excited to be here, and let's get started.
So Van's getting his education early, but he does have this look on his face like, what is going on here? So let's talk about purpose. So the purpose is the core reason why an organization actually exists. You know, a lot of people say, well, an organization either exists for its mission, but more importantly, more times than not, what do you hear? You hear it exists to make money. It exists to make profit. But really, profit is the result of purpose. So it's the guiding principle that actually informs the decision making. So all decisions made, right? It aligns teams. It connects the organization to a greater cause. I've used this analogy. You'll hear me say it probably, I don't know, 1 million more times, but nobody wakes up in the morning excited to work for an organization or boss to help them make more money, right? That is not purpose. Purpose is the guiding light. Everyone wants to feel like they're a part of something bigger, and that is true within an organization as well. It's always about the greater cause. So with that, why does purpose matter? So purpose, if you have that guiding light, if you know what the purpose is in the organization, you can drive engagement, innovation, and long-term growth. It helps build a resilient, future-focused organization. So think about a time that you have ever been in a crisis or faced a challenge. When you could become solely reactionary, do you make your best decisions? Or think about it this way, or when you take a pause and you think about what your purpose is, how does your decision change? Think about that. Like if you're purely reactionary, do you make the best decisions? Or if you take a pause and think about your purpose, does your decision tend to have a better outcome? That's what purpose does for you, right? Ben, I'll give you a moment to elaborate on that. Or Van would, I'm inclusive.
Yeah, I mean, we've mentioned this before. It, all comes back to your why, right? What's your why? And as we'll see as we go through the content today, when you expand purpose within an organization, you've got everybody firing on the same why cylinder, and you'll see a lot of positive effects and more alignment and efficiency than when everybody's got a different why across an organization.
Thanks, Ben. So now let's talk about purpose on organizational culture. So let's think about that. We hear a lot about culture. What is culture? Can you have culture without purpose? I would argue, no, you cannot. It's pretty hard unless the culture, you're not taking control of the culture. That's what I call it's not a culture. That's just whatever. Whatever. Old school. Let's do the whatever. So it becomes whatever that purpose or that culture, actually, there isn't a unified culture. We could argue it's a toxic culture. We could argue a lot of things, but what ends up happening is if an organization does not define its purpose, it can't define its culture. So what you actually have is a variety of cultures within one organization that causes friction. So there is no unifying culture unless you want to say dysfunction is the culture, which we do hear about that, right? I mean, who here has experienced that, right? So the point of purpose actually defines culture, right? It causes an alignment within the organization to say, this is who we are. It guides our behaviors, our attitudes, and practices. Now, notice when I say that a clear purpose shapes culture by guiding behaviors, attitudes, and practices. What is something I did not say in that? Culture doesn't mean you want everybody to be the same. That doesn't mean everybody has to have the same background, the same thoughts, the same feelings, the same skill sets. You need diversity in organization, but the guiding behaviors, attitudes, and practices have to be aligned. And I'm going to let Ben, I'm going to surprise attack you here, but because I know you have some baseball experience, and I think there's a good analogy to be made there with purpose and cultural alignment for a team. Would you mind kind of using your experience there to elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, shocker, anytime a group of people is aligned towards a similar goal, they're going to have a better chance of getting there. And so I think about our purpose group. Some of you all are, on today. In our first coaching session, remember, we talked about how do we want to be together, right? It was the first thing we did before we did anything else. How do we want to be together? How do we want it to feel in our space? How do we want to be when things get spicy or there's conflict? And so right there was that intentional construction of our culture, of our space, rather than just letting it rip and seeing what shapes it. Instead, being intentional, so you hit the target that you're aiming for.
I like that, Ben, and that creates a shared sense of direction and responsibility, right? That's that shared direction and sense of responsibility. So we're going in the same trajectory because our passion and our purpose are aligned and we're working toward that. And it also helps foster employee engagement, right? So employees who align with the organizational purpose feel more engaged and motivated, leading to higher productivity and job satisfaction. So later on, we're going to be talking about Patagonia as a case study. And since Patagonia is very passionate about the environment and sustainability, do you think somebody who does not care about the environment or sustainability would be a person would fit within that organization? No, right? Because they don't have purpose alignment. There's no purpose alignment there. So again, just want to really highlight, like, purpose is about guiding behaviors, attitudes, and practices. It's not trying to create an organization of sameness, but where you want to go is the purpose. That's where the alignment is. Like, what are you passionate about? What is your purpose? And there has to be alignment there. But we want a lot of diversity in other ways. I think those things can get confused. That's why I'm saying that. So, purpose-driven strategy. Purpose is your strategic compass. So earlier I was saying, when you're thinking about purpose, every decision you make, you should be asking, how is this supporting or is this not supporting the purpose of the organization? So it helps make strategic decisions. How many people here have made a quick decision and regretted it? And more often than not, why did you regret it? It's usually because you operated maybe out of fear, and you didn't take the time to reflect on your purpose to say, how is this thing that I'm facing right now going to impact me in the long run? And you're so scared for the immediate moment that you don't think about it long term. And when you think about that, there's no difference in that when you talk about an organization. How many people have worked with a business or in a business that's constantly in reactionary mode? And how well does that work for them? Do they grow? Do they sustain? No, they don't, because they don't have that purpose and that strategy to go, how is this going to impact us, not just tomorrow, 1 month from now, 6 months from now, a year. They're thinking, how we exist for this reason. So we got to think about how we are going to handle the situation for the long term, because it is a long game. So then a lot of people say, if you've listened to the show that I have, and Mike King will say, a lot of people will say purpose is kumbaya talk. Kumbaya is not bad. I sang it in choir camp. But purpose is more, it does drive profit. It's the residual. It's the consequence of being purpose driven. And we'll see that when we talk about Patagonia. So they're not mutually exclusive. Sometimes people think, well, if you're purpose driven, how the heck are you ever going to make money? Well, if you are purpose driven and you are doing right and you're helping people, money will come. How many people have heard of, like, pay it forward? Use whatever belief you may have, karma, whatever it is. You don't have to subscribe to any of those, but there is this, we know this in the world, regardless of your belief system. We know that when you put out good comes back. We can even go into the law of physics, right? Organizations that balance both can thrive in a competitive marketplace. And we also know that the younger generations are not going to purchase from organizations that are not purpose driven. When they think about it this way, we're in election year. No, we're not going to talk about politics, even though that was one of my other majors and that would be fun for me. I am going to refrain. But we're in election year, right? And what do we hear? Vote, 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 vote. That is your right as a citizen. Go vote. Don't throw that opportunity away, which is correct. But think about it this way. Every single day we're voting. Every single day, not just in election time. We're voting every single day with our dollars. And the younger generations get that probably better than the older generations. So when they are putting $1 down for something, they're not just putting $1 down for a product or service. They're putting that dollar down for the purpose that organization reflects. And if they don't believe in that purpose, they're not going to give their dollar, which means they're not voting. They're not going to vote for that organization. It's no longer just about a simple product or service. It becomes a simple commodity. But that's what the younger generations are looking for. Ben, I'll give you an opportunity to elaborate.
You nailed it. No comment.
That'd be fun, Ben. We should do a whole series on Nailed It. Not nailing it. I love that show. My kids and I watch that during the holiday season. So let's talk about the role of leadership in defining purpose. So leadership has to define the purpose, but also has to be the purpose advocates, right? So they have to embody the purpose. You can't say we've all been there. How many people have worked for or with an organization that says its purpose on this really beautiful sign in their office, in the conference room, in the hallways, but in no way, shape, or form actually do their actions reflect that purpose on a daily basis or in their decision making? So it's just words on a poster. That's not what purpose is. Purpose is literally, you need to articulate those, and it's nice to have those on a poster as supportive collateral to communicate. You can't communicate too much, but purpose is occurring based on the decision and the action that you're taking, and the leaders have to do that. They have to consistently communicate it in everything. The second you deviate from that purpose message, you create distrust, which makes people go, is it really their purpose, or are they just saying this? Is this really masking something else, right? And they got to ensure that all levels of the organization are aligned with the core vision. So everybody from CEO, founder, board, you name it, to everybody has got to be aligned with the core vision. And I argue not just your employees, your external ecosystem as well, whether it be suppliers, vendors, customers. Everybody is a purpose advocate. Or you could also use another term, purpose ambassador. So purpose-driven leaders, they're there to inspire. They inspire their teams, they inspire their the employees, the customers, the vendors, the suppliers, so they foster this collaboration. Again, when we talk about an ecosystem, which I've mentioned before, what is the root cause of the ecosystem? Why does an ecosystem exist? It's for a purpose. That purpose is the unifying attribute to that ecosystem. They all exist for that. And they make ethical decisions that serve both the company and the wider community. Ben, I'll give you a moment.
Thanks, Tiffany. Yeah, the word that kept coming to mind as you were going through this slide is authenticity, right? Authenticity in your purpose, in your mission. And like you said, we've all likely, if we haven't worked for one, we've experienced a company that's just doing lip service, right? And humans, we're great BS detectors, right? And so people can pick up on that. And it's a shame because I think we see a lot of that lip service right now to DEI initiatives, just so we can say, a company can say, oh, I have this. So it's a feeling. You can tell, maybe not from the outside, but within the company, whether that authenticity is really there or not.
I just need to know, Ben, if Ben is playing or is he really upset with what we're saying right now and that he is trying to get your attention?
He's his purpose is destruction right now. So he is very purpose driven and he's being very successful.
Good for him. Proud. I like that. And one thing too, some people, I've worked with leaders who are afraid to communicate their purpose and be authentic. Because when they feel that if they are going to share their purpose and really lead by that, they feel like that's vulnerable. That's making themselves vulnerable. And some people might not share that purpose, and they don't want to prohibit people from doing business with them. It's kind of like when you go take purpose away and you're just looking at marketing and you say, everybody, my target market, how many people have heard this? My target market is everybody. Well, if your target market is everybody, your target market is nobody. We all know that, right? Well, the same is true. If you're not being authentic, nobody knows you. And if nobody really knows who you are, you know what people do? They create their own narrative. They create their own story about you. And it may not be the story or narrative that is even remotely reflecting what your purpose is. And honestly, it's going to be, I don't say this word a lot, but I know Ben likes this word. It's probably going to be a lot spicier than what you could ever dream up of. Right, Ben? So now let's talk about Patagonia, because Patagonia, there's been research done on purpose-driven organizations, and Patagonia always ranks #1. How many people are familiar with Patagonia? Okay. Patagonia, I always say, if you haven't done this yet, take a look at Patagonia's website when you get a chance, because Patagonia does a really good job of communicating their purpose in all ways about their business. They're really good example to learn from. So Patagonia's purpose centers around environmental sustainability. So whether it's product development to business operations, their goal is to minimize harm to the planet and promote ecological balance. So they do this by actually through action. So again, those aren't just words sitting there when you walk into a Patagonia building. They actually have action. So 1% for the planet is what they say. Patagonia donates 1% of its sales to environmental causes, straight out the gate. 1% of its sales. What did you hear there? What did I say? 1% of its sales. I didn't say 1% of its profits. There's a big difference there. Where is the commitment stronger? If you say 1% of your sale or 1% of your profit? 1% of your sale is a much firmer commitment than saying 1% of your profit. I think I said that right. I hope I did. Environmental activism. So the company actively supports grassroots movements, campaigns for climate action, encourages consumers to engage in environmental advocacy. If you go to their website, you can find all the places that they donate. You can find all the nonprofits that they support, and you can find ways to get active, not just through buying their product, but other ways to get active. So they have what you call which I think is really cool, circular economy model. Imagine this. So Patagonia has a worn wear program that promotes repairing, reusing, and recycling products to extend the life of their products to reduce waste. So if you buy a Patagonia product and you've had it for a number of years, they will repair it and help or reuse it. So to eliminate waste, that's how it's not a throwaway product anymore. That's action, right? Now you're going, environmental sustainability. That's not just words on a poster. They also have supply chain transparency. So they prioritize ethical sourcing, fair labor practices, and sustainable materials that ensure that align with their core environmental mission. So notice what I'm saying here. So all the decisions that they are making are based on environmental sustainability, right? They're not making quick reactionary decisions, and they're not doing it out of fear. Now, if they were just basing their decisions, and I'm going to make this simple, if they were just basing their decisions on price, they may not be prioritizing ethical sourcing, fair labor practices, and sustainable materials from their supply chain, right? And business impact of purpose is customer loyalty. So their customers don't just buy their product, like I said before, they're actually voting. Every time that they're buying that product, they're voting in essence for Patagonia. And why are they voting for Patagonia? Why do they have that loyalty? Is because they're voting for environmental sustainability. And they believe that Patagonia is putting their money where their mouth is. They're putting their people where their mouth is. Profitability through purpose. So their commitment to sustainability doesn't hurt their bottom line. In fact, it grows their bottom line because they're getting brand loyalty, premium pricing, and market differentiation. How many people know of a company that is just like Patagonia? They would say would be like an immediate direct competitor. Pretty hard to do. That was a trick question. We can think of a lot of companies that may provide similar products, but how many of them are leading with purpose? It's really difficult to find. But the thing is, you could say, well, that's their unique differentiator. Not everybody has to do that. You could argue that, but again, the young generations are demanding it. So if you do not evolve, you will be left behind. So long-term impact. By embracing purpose-driven approach, Patagonia has established itself as the leader in both the outdoor industry and environmental activism. Amazing, right? Did you hear that? Their impact isn't just outdoor industry in their product, but they are known as a leader in environmental action. So if I'm an employee, if I'm a vendor, I'm a customer, I'm going to believe with everything that I am that they're not just saying the words, that they're doing it, right? So key takeaways: purpose drives innovation, purpose drives loyalty, and now Ben, because I could keep going.
Sorry, did you say what did you say, Tiffany?
Yeah, you want to elaborate or say
Oh,
add to Patagonia?
yeah, absolutely. I did think of another example actually. Are you familiar with Cotopaxi? I'll have to send you a link to them. They're another mission driven company in that same space. But I thought of it not to play devil's advocate, but just because I recognized in myself being attracted to their brand and their products because of their mission as well. And, the other thing I wanted to share is, back internally within the company, when you think about a mission, like I support several nonprofits, and they have a completely different feel, because I think a lot of nonprofits it's easier to be purpose driven there than in a profitable space. And I can notice a distinct contrast kind of between those two buckets. And then one of the nonprofits I work with, the Maggie Walker Community Land Trust, they're working to make headway on the affordable housing crisis here in Richmond. It was really interesting in working with them this past winter. They had a bit of a purpose challenge because there was kind of two camps in the organization. One was, let's build as many affordable units as possible, right? So just sheer volume, which I would call like breadth. And then another camp that wanted to support a smaller number of homeowners, but provide a deeper level of support. So there'd be less units, but they would support them beyond just getting the house, including repairs, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if you all can hear that. Sorry.
He's changed his purpose.
Yeah. But what was happening in the organization then is you had two camps rowing in different directions, right? And there's just this kind of misalignment, and they, recognized the downstream effects of that and the power of all getting on the same page. So I wanted to share that example because I think it really illustrates, not only the power of attraction to a brand, but also like the internal functioning of getting the job done.
I like that. And I like that you dropped the word brand right there, because I always talk about brand as purpose. Purpose is brand. Brand is not a logo, right? A brand envelops the purpose. It literally envelops the purpose. So thank you for that. So can you measure purpose in an organization? Because, people, again, it's like, if you don't have data to support it, does it really exist? Kind of a situation, right? So you got purpose metrics. So you can actually study purpose. You can see if you can measure the impact of purpose through employee engagement scores. through customer loyalty, brand perception, and social impact. You can be actually measuring these things. Also, when you have a purpose, and we all have different SMART goals and KPIs, whether it be contribution margin, revenue, all kinds of things, right? But at the end of the day, if your purpose is, let's go back to Patagonia, environmental sustainability, you're going to go look at Patagonia and you're going to notice they actually make goals that are related to environmental sustainability. Shocking, right? Because if you don't have goals that way, how can you say that that is your purpose? So part of the metric should be tying back to that. So continuous alignment. Purpose needs to evolve with the organization and the market. You got to always assess it and refine to make sure that it's aligned with your purpose, right? So nothing is ever stagnant in our lives or nor in business, and you always got to be willing to evolve and change, just like Ben did. He was in the destruction mode, then he went dabbled in the music mode. I'm not sure where he's at now. Ben, do we have any update?
He's discovered his love for speed, and he's on his little car and he's doing laps right now.
Cool. Did you have anything you wanted to add to the metrics measuring purpose?
Yeah, so there are plenty of things in life that we utilize, believe in, experience that are difficult to measure. And then also on the flip side, don't let that become a self-limiting belief that there are no such thing as purpose metrics, as we just, heard from Tiffany. So that's what I would share there.
Thank you, Ben. So now let's sum this up before we get into the Q&A portion. So purpose isn't a nice to have thing in your company. It is actually essential for long-term success. So if you have a business or you're working for a business that doesn't have a purpose and has action associated with that purpose, they need to get on board or they'll be left behind. It drives performance, it enhances employee and customer loyalty, and positions your organization for sustainable growth. And it call to action. How can you refine and integrate integrate purpose in your organization? What can you do to actually find and integrate purpose in your organization? Whether you own that organization, like you have your own business, or whether you're an employee for a business, what can you do to help refine and integrate purpose in an organization? For example, if you're working for an organization, you could potentially have those conversations with leadership, your managers, your superiors. And what steps will you take to ensure that purpose drives every level of your business? So that is your call to action after taking this course today. So now I'm going to say thank you to everybody who joined us on Facebook Live. Feel free, if you're not a member, to become one. It is free. You can join for free at empowerpeople.org/join. We'll be having a course later today on the do's and don'ts of interviewing. So we'll see you later. And if the rest of the group just waits patiently for me, I'm going to end the Facebook Live.